Wonderful. Well, bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue à notre rassemblement d'aujourd'hui. And a very warm welcome to everyone joining us once again. So it's truly energizing to see this community gather together, and a special shout out to all of our new participants who are joining for the first time. Whether you've been with CAAM since day one or you're just stepping into the conversation now, we are grateful you are here. So today we've got a dynamic agenda ahead, but before we dive into today's updates, let's kick off things with a quick pulse check to get the chat room buzzing. As we head into the fall season and wrap up our summer travels, one of the best parts of this time of year is watching the changing colors of our autumn leaves from the sky. Therefore, our check-in question for today is, which Canadian airport or region do you think offers the best autumn views on arrival or departure from an aircraft? Please drop your answers into the chat. Let's spark some ideas, share some energy, and get those connections flowing across the ecosystem. Wonderful. Thanks so much, Sarah. Yes, Ottawa in the fall is always a showstopper, especially over the Gatineau Hills. Amira, appreciate that. Yeah, Halifax has got some unique perspective from the air when the coastline is framed with those autumn tones. And yes, Michael, of course, with Quebec City and along the St. Lawrence too, special. Wonderful. So as we continue and let those chats flow from there, we can begin with some of the overview of today's town hall. So as a reminder, this town hall is your go-to for Canada's latest on AAM operations, policies, and regulations. It's where we coordinate, communicate, and collectively advance our ecosystem together. And in a year marked with political shifts, economic challenges, today's updates from CAAM, Transport Canada, and NAV Canada are not just relevant, they're essential. So let's get into it. As always, we respectfully acknowledge that today's digital gathering takes place on the unceded and traditional ancestral territories of the many First Nations across Turtle Island, now known as Canada. In that spirit, we want to make sure that we are proud to spotlight the powerful work of Coup Team Creations and the Bead Your Province Map project, an initiative that celebrates not only Indigenous identity, art, and place through beaded designs representing provinces and territories across Turtle Island. We encourage you, wherever you are, to explore and support this vibrant expression of Indigenous culture and collectivity. So as for initial introductions, my name is J.R. Hammond, and I'm privileged to serve as the Executive Director for Canadian Advanced Air Mobility, Canada's Federal Industry Association for AAM, in collaboration with our co-founders at the National Research Council of Canada, and supported today by our CAAM team of David Dong and Theo Robson. We're excited to welcome you to our Q3 Town Hall. Each CAAM Town Hall is designed to offer the key insights from Canada's leading federal authorities as we collectively accelerate towards operationalization of this new industry. Now for today's agenda, we'll begin with a quick update from CAAM, highlighting our role in building a consistent space to tackle the challenges and drive regulatory progress toward AAM operations in Canada. Then we will be welcoming Jeannie Stewart-Smith and Matt Lesniak from Transport Canada's Strategic Emerging Technologies branch, who will share insights into their R&D programs. We'll then turn the platform over to Alan Chapman from NAV Canada and Conrad Gursky from PricewaterhouseCoopers, who will present the market assessment for RPAS and AAM, looking at flight volumes, benchmarking Canada against other countries, and examining the broader value chain impact. Now, as a kind of reminder for our audience engagement, through today's events, we encourage you to submit any of your questions using the Q&A function in Microsoft Teams. Our CAAM team will follow up offline if any of the detailed insights or questions aren't able to be addressed live, and we'll make sure that's a part of the conversation to continue thereafter. So with that, let's get kicked off by turning it over to some of the updates from our industry side. As the global conversation evolves, we need to make sure that we do so with our approach to what is AAM as well. Our international partners and ourselves at CAAM are aligning more closely with the evolving definition of advanced air mobility currently being shaped by ICAO. So what does AAM mean for us? At CAAM, advanced air mobility is that evolution of air transportation, driven by an ecosystem that is brought together through new propulsion systems. Think of that electric, hybrid, and hydrogen technologies. Our new aircraft architecture, those designs optimized for various ranges and mission cases, and new operating missions, redefining how people, goods, and services move across both our urban and regional environments. Now, importantly, regardless of the definition, the goal is clear: to make air mobility safer, more sustainable, and more accessible for communities across Canada and around the world. So for us, advanced air mobility is an example of this evolving aviation ecosystem from a variety of different operating pillars. We start with all of the great work coming out of the RPAS sector, looking at examples like Indro Robotics Wayfinder that started flying in around 2016. Similarly, we look to the great work of the retrofitting of existing aircraft, such as Harbour Air's electric eBeaver program that had some of their initial flights back in 2019. Continuing on the time frame, we then progress to the important work of our aviation training sector for our future pilots as well. This is an example of Sealand Flight's Pipistrel Vetus Electro that flew its first commercial flight back in June 2024, bringing in some of those electric trainer opportunities as well. Then, with the expanding electric conventional takeoff and landing aircraft, the eCTOL, shown here by the Beta ALIA CX300, this is a new type of aircraft expected to be certified and flying in Canada around that 2028 timeframe, and one of the market launch opportunities for the country. We then focus on the developments of hybrid aircraft, such as Canada's leading eVTOL OEM Horizon Aircraft, shown here with our Cavorite X7 aircraft. And we must put emphasis as well on the development of future autonomous aircraft, such as the Wisk Gen 6 program. Wisk is looking at a later entry into the Canadian marketplace, given the progression of autonomy within our regulatory frameworks as well. And lastly, it's critical for us to ensure that all of our work transition to our commercial aviation partners in Canada, the Air Canadas, WestJets, and Porters of the world, to ensure that they are at the table and pulling upon new energy systems like hydrogen and new use cases and applications through previous work under the Airbus ZeroE program as one of the examples. And of course, this is a longer time frame, knowing the complexities that commercial aviation requires and how we can get to the larger, more impactful aircraft as well. Overall, the important piece is that no singular aircraft will serve all mission and operating cases, and CAAM is working under this greater advanced air mobility umbrella to ensure the Canadian ecosystem is prepared and ready to go for these operations. Now, we need to make sure that Canada's role in advanced air mobility is strongly represented in the leading international organizations, helping to shape the sector as well. At the same time, we are working across the Canadian aerospace ecosystem with our international, federal, provincial, and municipal partners to ensure that advanced air mobility is both accessible and relevant to them and their members. Every part of the ecosystem has a critical role to play in building this future, and CAAM is here to connect those voices, align the priorities, and make sure Canada is not only keeping pace, but leading in this global transformation. Now, I want to take a moment to frame what we mean when we talk about CAAM's ecosystem specifically. We divide our ecosystem into the following key tiers. We're privileged to be led and guided by our national board. We are then advised through the advisory committee. We have our great project partners taking leading stances in advancing this technology across the country. Our engaged members support and drive some of the market development and business development opportunities. And our general ecosystem represents that growing tier of momentum to help support development towards operationalization. Since day one, CAAM has been focused on building that pan-Canadian network that brings together the full spectrum of players needed to operationalize AAM across the country. But more than just a network, we've created that tiered engagement model, one that reflects the depth of time and financial commitment across our members and enables every partner to contribute in the way that best aligns with their role, resources, and readiness. We're proud to showcase some of this structure today and to highlight the members who are bringing this ecosystem to life. Now, in regards to our national authorities, CAAM is privileged to help drive the coordination between Transport Canada, NAV Canada, and the broader AAM industry through the National AAM Integration Team. Our role is to convene and unify voices from across Canada and beyond, bringing industry opportunities, concerns, and challenges directly to regulatory authorities. By working alongside our National Board and Advisory Committee, we ensure that the industry's input actively shapes Canada's pathway towards operations. And before we continue, we have to take a moment to welcome Canada's new Minister of Transport to the role, the Honourable Stephen McKinnon. The Minister's leadership will not only be pivotal as Canada shapes the future of aviation and AAM, but from enabling our regulatory frameworks to positioning Canada as a global leader in zero-emission flight, Minister McKinnon's role will directly influence how quickly and effectively our ecosystem advances. So, on behalf of the entire CAAM community, we look forward to working closely with Minister McKinnon and his team to ensure Canada doesn't just adapt to change, but leads in creating a safe, sustainable, and globally competitive future for flight. And now, relevant more than ever, let's talk about that federal engagement, and more importantly, how the voice of CAAM members gets to Ottawa. Our biannual federal engagement letter captures the latest opportunities and challenges facing the AAM sector and is shared with our federal leaders and departments shaping that future of that space as well. So the CAAM AAM letters from our members are sent to the Ministry of Transport Canada's office, the Ministry of Industry, ISED's office, and the AAM integration team at Transport Canada and NAV Canada. This continues to be one additional outlet to help influence how AAM takes off in Canada from our CAAM membership program. Now we're excited to share and spotlight some of the major Canadian news and achievements from Advanced Air Mobility this past quarter. Starting with Horizon Aircraft that has officially been awarded a $450,000 research grant from the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, NSERC. This grant is a strong signal of Canada's commitment to not only supporting innovation and helping homegrown companies like Horizon accelerate their groundbreaking work on the hybrid VTOL aircraft programs. It's not just funding, it's validation. It shows that our federal research and innovation system recognizes the potential of the Horizon technology and helps to push those boundaries of what's possible in sustainable aviation. Similarly, in building upon the funding announcement, Horizon Aircraft and ZeroAvia have also announced their plans to explore hydrogen propulsion for Horizon's hybrid VTOL platform. This collaboration is that powerful example of how Canadian innovation can connect with the global leaders to push those boundaries of hydrogen technology and what's possible. By combining the cutting-edge aircraft design of Horizon with ZeroAvia's expertise in hydrogen electric propulsion, this partnership is setting the stage for that new class of zero-emission aircraft. Another important announcement for this past quarter, the Beta all-electric ALIA aircraft has officially touched down in Toronto, showcased at the Billy Bishop Toronto City Centre Airport in partnership with Stolport. This marks a significant moment not only for Beta Technologies, but for the entire Canadian AAM ecosystem. Stolport also hosted the installation of Canada's first Beta Minikube charger, a critical step in building the infrastructure that will power the future of electric aviation. Seeing a fully electric aircraft like the ALIA right here in Toronto demonstrates how close we are to turning this vision of zero-emission aviation into reality. Earlier this month as well, we also had the privilege of leading the CAAM delegation for an opportunity to witness the future of flight firsthand. Our CAAM delegation visited two groundbreaking innovators in AAM, Beta Technologies and Unither Bioélectronique. At Beta in Burlington, Vermont, we experienced that all-electric ALIA aircraft had and its supporting charging ecosystems. Then, continuing in Bromont, Quebec, we saw Unither showcase their piloted, hydrogen-powered Robinson helicopter. What made this trip so impactful was not only the technology, but the connections made amongst our ecosystem, bringing together Canadian companies, regulators, partners to deepen the collaborations that will allow these solutions to scale right here at home. Next, I want to make sure we can highlight an important milestone for our community, the conclusion of our inaugural cohort of small, medium enterprises that led the inaugural CAAM-led National Research Council Industrial Research Assistant Program. This program brought together 5 Canadian small and medium-sized enterprises who were each guided by our industry experts to accelerate growth and commercial readiness for advanced air mobility. Our participating SMEs included Eagle Eyes, Mustavio, Sealand Flight, Micropilot, and Quaternion Aerospace. The purpose of this program was simple but powerful: to provide Canadian innovators with direct access to specialized technical leadership, ensuring that their solutions can scale into the real-world AAM operations. So as we conclude this first cohort, I want to emphasize that this is just the beginning. Recruitment is now underway for our next cohort, and we encourage any small and medium-sized enterprises developing technologies for the aerospace sector to reach out to CAAM to apply, and we'll also make sure the information is available in the chat for registering for the next cohort as well. And to conclude with, as we look ahead, I want to share 2 major delegation opportunities that are now on the horizon for our community and remind about the funding support available. First, our Middle East delegation trip will run from November 10th to November 14th, 2025, and this will be a focused investment mission with curated meetings in Doha, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi, UAE. Delegates will engage directly with the Qatar Civil Aviation Authority, Qatar Airways Group, the Investment Authority of Qatar, as well as the Qatar Development Bank. We'll then transition over to Abu Dhabi, where sessions will include the Abu Dhabi Airport Company, Falcon Aviation, Etihad Aviation Group, and the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority meetings as well. So for those interested, there will also be the opportunity to attend the Dubai Air Show, concluding our event, which will run from November 17th to 21st. Secondly, looking further ahead, CAAM will be leading the Canadian delegation to the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO's second Advanced Air Mobility Symposium in 2026. After the success of the inaugural event in Montreal last year, this mission will provide a position for Canada's AAM ecosystem on the global stage and provide those exclusive access to high-level dialogue, networking, and of course, business development opportunities. And here's the important part. CAAM delegate members may be eligible for up to 50% funding support to offset the cost of participation. If you're interested, our CAAM team will provide the delegation trip interest form in the chat to get to the front line of these opportunities. And as a reminder, these delegation trips are not just trips. They are milestone opportunities to showcase Canadian leadership and build those global partnerships for the future. So the road to operationalization won't be easy. These significant challenges remain ahead for us, and they will require resilience, that adaptability, and of course, a clear focus on scaling from entry into service to full commercial operations, all while meeting the evolving regulatory standards and market expectations. The urgency to chart this path has never been clearer. That's why CAAM is committed to building a robust, coordinated Canadian AAM ecosystem, one that's actively progressing towards those safe, scalable operations. So let us be your trusted partner in navigating the complexities of Canada's AAM journey going forward. And as we conclude from the CAAM side, we're going to transition to our first segment, the Transport Canada segment, where we will welcome our special guests, both Jeannie Stewart-Smith from Transport Canada and Matt Lesniak, representing the new Strategic Emerging Technologies branch, and who are going to share a little bit about their R&D programs coming out of this program. So Jeannie and Matt, thank you once again, as always, for being here. Greatly appreciate it, and we're looking forward to the conversations at hand.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chair. Matt, I'll just say a few things and then I'll hand the microphone over to you. Hi, everyone. Bonjour. It's great to be with all of you here again to continue the important conversations on AAM. And so thank you, JR and the CAAM team, for bringing this community together on a regular basis. I think we have some really interesting conversations and make some really important progress towards our collective goals. For anyone who hasn't met me before, my name is Jeannie Stewart-Smith. I'm the lead for RPAS and Advanced Air Mobility Policy for Transport Canada. So I'm part of the Strategy and Emerging Technologies branch. I've been with the RPAS program from the earliest days in 2017 and in transportation policy more broadly since 2010. And what I love about this work is the real impact that the regulator has on enabling safe and innovative services for Canadians and for the global system. We really do make a difference, and working with all of you helps us to get that done more quickly, more efficiently, more effectively. So I spoke to you at the last town hall about some of the changes we're making as an organization to better address advanced air mobility and other emerging aviation technologies, as well as the certification roadmap from the National Aviation Authorities Network, which was an important milestone in collectively moving this work forward and responding to some of the concerns we've heard from industry. Turning to today, I'm really excited that we've got one of my colleagues here with us, Matt Lesniak, to speak to some of the research and development work that we're doing with our key partners. R&D, as you all probably are acutely aware, is critical to shaping how we regulate. It gives us information that helps us better understand different aspects of technologies or how the technologies perform in different operating environments. For example, our cold weather, which I'm sure is coming back this year at some point, although we've had a lovely September in Ottawa so far. And our R&D program is small but mighty, and we seek to learn from our colleagues internationally and complement their work with projects that are of specific interest or importance to Canada. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Matt to walk us through some of the really exciting projects that we're looking at from a Transport Canada perspective. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jeannie. So hi, everyone. My name is Matt Lesniak. I'm an engineer on the Strategy and Emerging Technologies engineering team. And thank you to CAAM for this opportunity to provide a short summary of some of our R&D work. So the overarching strategic objectives of our R&D program is to support regulatory and policy framework development by generating R&D data and insights and sharing those data and results with other groups in order to eliminate duplication of effort. We started back in fiscal year 2018-2019 with a focus on small RPAS, and over the past few years we've gradually been moving into the realm of AAM and large VTOL aircraft operations and vertiports. We partner with the National Research Council of Canada to execute our R&D projects. This slide gives an overview of the projects that we have completed and that are underway currently. Across the top are the fiscal years, so you can see that the program started in fiscal year 2018-2019, and we are currently just about halfway through fiscal year 2025-2026 on the right there. Each of these arrows represents one project. The ones in green are completed and the ones in blue are ongoing. You can see that many of these span a single fiscal year, but some of them span multiple fiscal years as well. And we like to divide our projects into 9 categories, which you see along the left-hand side there. So I'm going to go over very briefly what some of these categories are. So we have the air-to-air collision category, which has 2, you could call them streams of research projects. So the first one is drone impact assessment. So that's impact severity. And the second one, this traffic density modeling series of projects, this is drone impact probability. So together, severity and probability gives us a good picture of the air-to-air collision risk involved with small RPAS and AAM. We have the air-to-ground collision category, which in a similar way, there's the human injury severity component and a probability component as well. That's that population density estimation project that you see there in fiscal year 23-24. We have RTM, RPAS traffic management, and C2 link integrity. So we have RTM projects, and we have urban canyon radio frequency interference and electromagnetic interference projects under C2 link integrity. Detect and avoid solutions, icing and severe weather, where we have one set of projects involving icing, buildup of ice on surfaces, on critical surfaces, and the severe weather. So urban flow is the second stream of research there. RPAS and AAM noise, certification of autonomy, which is an ongoing project, which started in fiscal year 2018 and 2019, and it's still going strong. And we have 2 newer projects, this eVTOL downwash and upwash project and the academic survey project. So you can see on the right-hand side there, currently this fiscal year, we have 8 projects underway, the ones in blue. I'm going to talk about some of these in the following slides. So some examples of specific R&D projects that are currently underway. The first is this drone impact assessment project. This falls under the air-to-air collision category. The objective here is to assess the damage caused by drone strikes against manned and AAM aircraft. So far in previous fiscal years, we've analyzed the impact severity between small RPAS and a variety of components of Part 23 and Part 25 aircraft, both aluminum and composite components. And this year we're building on that work. We are moving into the realm of AAM. We're assessing drone strikes against composite materials, flat plates, representative of AAM materials. And we've actually partnered with the DSTL and the Imperial College of London in the UK to this year uniquely. This is a new development, and there's a high fidelity finite element model analysis portion of this project as well. So the image you see on the top right there, this is the drone cannon. It's a large air tank and a pressurized air tank and a 20-foot long barrel. We launch drones at aircraft components at about 250 knots. The image below that is the experimental setup, where you can see the aircraft component there on the left, all of the lighting and the high-speed cameras. And the bottom image represents the aftermath of such an impact. This is the leading edge of an aircraft, and you can see that it's dented after a drone strike. The second project in the air-to-air collision category is this airspace modeling project. So the objective of this project is the safe integration of RPAS and AAM into the national airspace. In previous fiscal years, we've developed a methodology to develop statistical models to evaluate air traffic congestion across different air risk classes. And we do this using a variety of historical data that's available to us, thanks to NAV Canada. This year, we are developing high-fidelity air traffic congestion models for 10 Canadian airspaces, and we're also developing an algorithm to analyze past near mid-air collisions between manned aircraft. The image on the right that you see there, that's Ottawa with the airports in the vicinity. And the image below that is a air traffic congestion model where the yellow zones are areas of high air traffic. And if you were to overlay these two images together, you could see that they would align exactly. That big X in the middle of the bottom image, that centers right on the Ottawa International Airport, and those two arms of the X correspond to the angles of the runways at the Ottawa International Airport. You can also see directly to the northwest of that is that the flight school there by the airport. Northwards is Rockcliffe Airport. And you can see that that all of these angles correspond. If you were to look at maps of these airports, you would see that all these lines correspond to the angles of the different runways at these airports. So it's quite interesting to see. RPAS and AAM noise modeling. So currently there are no requirements for noise emissions for RPAS and AAM, and this project evaluates the needs, if there's a need to regulate noise emissions for these types of vehicles. In previous fiscal years, we've studied various RPAS models for their noise characteristics in a variety of environments, anechoic chambers, outdoors, and through numerical methods. And this year we are moving into the realm of AAM once again. So we're investigating noise exposure from AAM vehicles in and around Canadian cities. And you can see in the top right corner there, that's an experimental setup for the outdoors test that we did last fiscal year. There's a line of microphones on the road there. And we flew different models of RPAS overhead, back and forth at different altitudes, and we measured the acoustic pressure and the sound pressure levels, which is those graphs that you see below that. And this year we actually we repeated some of the tests that we had done in previous years. We went to the NRC team and myself. We went to the Honda Automotive laboratories in Ohio, Halo, to do an experiment, a series of experiments there. You can see the image in the bottom right there. In the center of the image, there's a drone. It's hovering in the wind, and there are two large rigs, the semicircular rig there on the right, and a circular rig above. Those are microphone arrays that are measuring noise. eVTOL downwash and outwash. This is one of our newer projects. It started last fiscal year. The objective is to define the operating challenges of large machines such as this, and to eventually down the line support design regulations for vertiports and AAM vehicles. Last fiscal year, we started with a literature review. Some of those images, those graphs that you see on the right-hand side there, are from that literature review. You can see very clearly the outwash velocities around one of these AAM vehicles. You can see the hazard zones there. The literature review described the complex airflows associated with or generated by these eVTOL aircraft. And this year we're moving forward with a simulation and modeling of in-ground effect of two eVTOL aircraft with distinct rotor configurations, which you can see in the bottom right image there. And the last project I wanted to briefly touch on today is what we call this academic survey that we call Insights for the Future of Aviation and Aerospace in Canada. It's a bit of a mouthful, but really this project is unlike any of our others. It's unique in that its objective is to support the long-term policy and regulatory efforts in the general realm of aviation and aerospace. So not just drones, not just AAM, but beyond the scope of our typical R&D work. So this is a brand new project that started this fiscal year. Right now we are performing a search of Canadian academia, Canadian or academic literature rather, and there's an informal consultation portion of this project too, where we will be speaking with leading Canadian academics about their work in the aerospace and aviation sectors. So in the top right in that graph there, you can see there are 14 topic categories, everything from drones, UAVs, and RPAS to advanced and novel aircraft designs, novel propulsion systems, AAM, air traffic management. There's even space operations, sustainable aviation. So this is deliberately, the scope is very broad. The graph below that, this is just an example of all the topics that fall under artificial intelligence and aerospace. So you can see there's artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, AI applications, and so forth. And along the vertical axis there is the publication count, and along the horizontal is the growth rate. This is the growth rate of those publications. So this is a typical example where brand new and declining topics are in the bottom left quadrant, low publication count, low growth rate. And then there's emerging, which have a high growth rate, but still a low publication count. Hot, which is high publication count and high growth rate. And established, which is high publication count and low growth rate. And typically a topic like this will follow that pattern, that counterclockwise pattern, where it'll start at brand new, then it'll go to emerging, hot, established, and then it'll return back down to the bottom left. And finally, the last graph in the bottom right there represents the number of publications for each of these topic categories. And along the left-hand side are the research institutions. So there are universities there, and the NRC is there as well at the bottom. And across the top are those topic categories. And the number in the boxes represents the number of publications by that research institution for each particular topic category. This slide here lists hyperlinks to all of the final reports that have been published on the NRC's NPARC Publication Archives webpage. So I will leave that for you to discover on your own. And finally, future research priorities. I've touched on some of this already during my presentation, but I'll just summarize it here. Our R&D program started focused on small RPAS and has moved over into the world of higher risk AAM vehicles, operations, and vertiports. And this expanded scope will help us as a regulator to position our team in order to better address those challenges as they come up, or rather before they come up. The data and insights gained from our R&D program for small RPAS are still pertinent. We're building on that work, and we are positioning ourselves to develop a regulatory framework for higher risk AAM vehicles and operations. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm happy to take questions.
Powerful. Well, I just wanted to express our gratitude, Matt, for giving us some of those overviews. We know this is a continuing building conversation amongst Transport Canada and the work with the NRC as well. But I just wanted to start off. I know we've got some great questions coming in from the audience too. Building upon where you're seeing and tracking some of the research and development internationally, where does it bring relevance to our Canadian applications here? Is there a specific organization or development happening with some of our international partners that you're excited about the implications here in Canada?
Sorry, could you repeat that question, please?
Yes, and I know we have Carlos joining from Transport Canada as well. Just wanted to bring in the importance of some of the research and development internationally and the implications here in Canada. Are there any specific projects or developments happening globally that will have an impact on our Canadian operations as well?
Yeah, so I can add a bit of flavor to that answer. Thank you very much for the presentation, Matt. My name is Carlos Roel. I'm currently the engineering manager for the Strategic and Emerging Technologies branch within Transport Canada, and I have overseen the R&D program for quite some time now, since 2019. To answer your question more precisely, we follow a lot of the R&D that other civil aviation regulators do, specifically the FAA. They have a larger group that's called the FAA Assure, and EAS as well. They do some research, again, to help the regulators develop proper regulations for these new and emerging technologies. A lot of the research we have done over the years have been following some of the initial work that the FAA Assure has done, and then we Canadianize it. A good example is the icing research. The FAA did some very good body of work, but they left some gaps that, due to weather conditions, we have way more icing probability than the FAA. So we continue that work. Another good one is injury severity criteria for small RPAS impacting people on the ground. The FAA, again, did a lot of good work analyzing the risk of 50% male subjects being struck by a drone in the head. We expanded that to include more vulnerable populations. So overall, I would say there's nothing specifically that the international community is doing that affect us and help us. We take everything that everybody's doing around and we expand it and improve on what they have done. But it's certainly I want to say a source of inspiration for the type of research we do. And like Matt said at the beginning of our slide, we try not to duplicate any effort that has been done internationally.
That's it. And thank you for highlighting that too, Matt, on just that importance as well. And then Carlos for, of course, linking it to some of the collaboration on the global sense. Now, coming through a lot of the questions, I know Patrick and Michael have mentioned this as well. Can you share some insight of how these R&D programs will either be expanded or impacted with some of the medium RPAS coming with the November 4th regulations as well?
Yeah, so I can take that question because it's a very long history on that research we've been doing. And again, that's also one that the FAA Assure started doing, and they focused their effort on simulating impacts of drones and RPAS of any size. They went all the way to 600 kilograms in their initial simulations. And us as Transport Canada, instead of just taking those results like golden, we decided we need to do more validation. So we went ahead and validated the small aspects. Basically, the average drone size that is flying right now in Canada, which is under a kilogram of weight. So that all our validation efforts, which include a lot of testing of, like Matt was saying, different types of airframes, traditional aviation Part 25, Part 23, and even helicopters components. All that was to validate the small size of things. That allows to understand how their simulations were working and how the level of fidelity of their simulation. When it comes to medium over 25 kilogram RPAS hitting a plane, we know what's going to be the outcome, and we're designing the system so that doesn't happen. There's a point where 150 kilogram, 600 kilogram RPAS hitting an airliner is not going to be a good day for anybody. So in that aspect, we really don't need to do any more research to know what the impact, what the severity is going to be. We just need to keep working on avoiding that from ever happening. And that's where we're designing the whole system and the whole regulations around that.
That's it. Well, I just want to acknowledge and express our gratitude once again, Matt, Carlos, and Jeannie from Transport Canada. I know we have a lot more questions here, but we will follow up to make sure those links are available, Matt, that you provided from the great research papers across the ecosystem. But on behalf of the entire CAAM team and our audience here today, thank you once again for being a part of the town hall and sharing some of the insights. And we look forward to the developments coming soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And now, as we bring that Transport Canada conversation and some of the research and developments to a pause for this conversation today,